Hey gang, this is Jamie from Red Raccoon Games here with another episode of Tabletop Terms, where we just try to give you a basic level of understanding of terms that we use in the board game industry. This week I'm going to be talking about one of my personal favorite game mechanics that exists, deck building games. Deck building is a little bit different. Before we had a deck building mechanic, we had years of Yu-Gi-Oh! And Magic the Gathering and Pokemon, where each player would come to the table with a pre-built deck of cards. I never was a real big fan of this because I never had the time to do enough research to figure out which combinations were the best to make the deck I wanted work optimally. So what is different in a deck building game is when you play a deck building game, everybody sits down at the table with exactly the same cards to start with. Somewhere in the game, there's a mechanic where you can buy or acquire more cards, and that's how you build your deck up. So it's a lot of buy some cards or get some cards, shuffle your deck, and the next time through, those new cards you just acquired are now part of the deck. And you are then building that deck up, and you can do different things like maybe attack another player and do them damage, or buy victory points to win the game with. All sorts of different mechanics that can be added onto a deck builder, but it all starts with the concept that everybody first starts with the exact same cards, and then you go from there. The first deck building game was Dominion, and this is one of my top 5 board games of all time. I still play it all the time. Dominion and its expansions now have sold about 3 million copies worldwide, and this is a Game of the Year winner from 2009. So everybody starts with the exact same cards, and then there's a bunch of other cards in the deck, and you choose, I think there's 23 in the deck in the game, and you choose 10 of them that you're going to play with each game. And then as you get more expansions, each expansion adds, if it's a big box expansion, it adds 23. If it's a little box expansion, it adds 13. And so you have more and more choices of how those cards you're going to play with are acquired. As you move through the game, then there's different combinations of things that are going on, and you're ultimately trying to score victory points to win the game. Dominion spun off a ton of followers. One of the biggest ones was Ascension, which has unfortunately gone a little bit by the wayside right now, but we've also seen other games too, like another one of my favorites is a nice little 2-player only game called Star Realms. Star Realms is set in space, and you're playing one of multiple factions trying to build up enough of an attack force to defeat the other player in the game. Star Realms spun off its own expansion or a spin-off game called Hero Realms, and this is a fantasy-based version. One of the reasons why I bring up Hero Realms is because it was the first one that had an add-on that made deck building cooperative, which was a nice touch, and that's what a lot of people don't like versus games. They like to play cooperative games, so you can do that there. And in the last couple of years, we've seen an all-new spin-off where we've used a deck building mechanic to actually play a board game. So in Clank, you build up your cards for your deck as you build out your deck, and these give you attack options to defeat monsters in the dungeon, money to buy new cards, or movement points, and that's the only way you can move your character around inside of the game. And so we've seen that in Clank, and it's got multiple expansions, really like Clank. And then last year we saw the same thing with Extraordinary Adventures Pirates. This one, you build up the deck of cards you build up is you're building up crew to run your pirate ships. And the better the crew you have, the more you can move your pirate ship, and the more that you can acquire treasures and stuff as you go throughout the game. So deck building has a lot of simple little twists that you can do on there, but I love it because everybody starts exactly the same, and then you build from there. Every game is fresh. You don't have to worry about one person coming in with having bought a bunch of expensive cards and roll the table. And yeah, that's deck building. So if you thought this was helpful, give us some comments below. If you want, there's other mechanics you want to hear us talk about, throw them in the comments and let us know. And we're just going to keep building out all these definitions as we go along. Try to make a series to make it as easy as possible for brand new players to get into the board gaming world. Thanks.